My name is Ethan Moore. I was 29 years old when this happened. At the time, my life was routine, predictable. I worked long hours, traveled often for motorsport events, and spent most of my time on the road. That night was supposed to be no different. Just another drive home after a long, exhausting day. My mother was riding in the passenger seat beside me. It was early evening, but the sun was already gone. Not the kind of dark softened by streetlights or distant buildings. This was the kind of darkness that pressed in, thick and suffocating. The highway cut straight through an isolated stretch of land, with low trees and brush lining both sides like a wall. No houses, no exits, no place for anyone to be walking. I was towing a large trailer behind my car, heavy and unforgiving. At that speed, sudden braking wasn't an option. Swerving wasn't either. One wrong move and the entire rig would jackknife across the road. The speedometer hovered just under 100 kilometers per hour. I remember feeling tired, not sleepy, but drained. The kind of exhaustion where your thoughts blur together and the road becomes hypnotic. Then my mother spoke. "Ethan, do you see that?" There was something in her voice. Not panic yet. Confusion. Uncertainty. I looked up, and my stomach dropped. Standing in the middle of the highway directly in our lane was a small figure. A child. At least that's what my brain tried to label it as. The figure wore a dark blue hooded coat, oversized, hanging loosely from a thin frame. The hood was pulled low, obscuring the face. For a split second, it looked like the child was mid-step, as if attempting to cross the road and had frozen in place. The distance between us collapsed instantly. I didn't scream. I didn't break. I couldn't. Every instinct in my body screamed to do something, but logic overpowered panic. Slamming the brakes would have sent the trailer into a deadly fishtail. Swerving at that speed could have rolled us. There was no safe choice. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my hands ached. As we closed in, the figure turned its head toward us. That was the moment something felt wrong. Children panic. They run. They flinch. This one didn't. It just stood there, staring. The headlights caught part of its face only briefly, but long enough for me to see what wasn't there. No expression, no fear, no reaction at all. We missed it by inches. My mother let out a broken scream, cut short by shock. The car jolted as we passed, and I felt a sick lurch in my chest, like we had just brushed against something we shouldn't have survived. I didn't look in the rearview mirror. I was afraid of what I might see. For the next few kilometers, I barely breathed. Every passing car made my pulse spike. Every shadow along the roadside looked like it might move. My mother called the police with shaking hands. She explained everything in a rush. There was a child alone standing in the middle of the highway. A near miss. A miracle no one was killed. The dispatcher assured her patrols were being sent immediately. That should have been comforting. It wasn't. The image of that figure stayed burned into my mind. The way it looked at us. The stillness. The silence. Almost an hour later, I couldn't take it anymore. I called the police myself. I told them I had dash cam footage, that I could prove what we saw, that I needed to know if the child was safe. There was a pause on the line. Then, the officer spoke. They found the child. He's being returned home as we speak. I felt my entire body sag with relief. I pulled over at the next safe spot and sat there for a long time, hands trembling, heart finally slowing. I kept telling myself it was over, that it had just been a horrible coincidence, a stupid, terrifying moment that ended the best possible way. That night, I uploaded the dashcam video online, not for attention, not for clicks. I needed reassurance from others, from myself, that what I saw was real, that I wasn't imagining things. The video spread faster than I expected, and then the next day, everything fell apart. The official police statement came out. According to them, no child was ever found. No one had been located. No family reported a missing child. Multiple patrols searched the area for hours until nearly dawn. Nothing. I read the statement over and over, my hands growing cold. Someone had told me the child was safe, but according to official records, there was no child. No explanation was ever given for the conflicting information. No correction, no follow-up, just silence. To this day, I don't know what stood in the road that night. And as disturbing as that is, what scares me more is this. After sharing my experience, I started receiving messages, dozens of them. People from different places, different years, different countries, all telling me the same thing. They had seen someone or something standing where no one should ever be, on a dark road, late at night, waiting. I thought the nightmare had peaked that evening on the highway. I was wrong, because that encounter was only the beginning. I couldn't sleep after that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the road again empty, endless, swallowed by darkness. And standing in the middle of it, that shape. That child-sized figure that shouldn't have been there. I replayed the dashcam footage over and over, frame by frame. Slowing it down didn't make it clearer. It only made it worse. The figure never turned its head fully toward the car. It didn't flinch. It didn't react the way a human being should when a 2-ton vehicle barrels toward them at highway speed. It just stood there, as if it already knew we weren't going to stop, as if it had seen this moment before. People online argued endlessly about what it was: a prank, a runaway child, a glitch in the camera, a shadow distorted by speed and light. But none of them were there. None of them felt that sickness in their gut when the headlights washed over something that felt wrong. I tried to convince myself that it was over, that it was just one terrifying coincidence. Then, about 3 weeks later, I came across another video. It popped up late at night while I was scrolling half-asleep thumb, moving on autopilot. The caption read, "We almost stopped. Thank God we didn't." The video was filmed from inside a car, a group of young women laughing at first, music playing softly. It was after midnight. You could tell by the way the darkness pressed in on both sides of the road, by how isolated everything felt. Then one of them screamed. The camera jerked. Headlights illuminated something crawling up from the roadside. A woman, or at least something that looked like one. She was soaked hair plastered to her face, clothes clinging to her body. She moved awkwardly, unsteadily, like her limbs didn't quite remember how they were supposed to work. She was in the road, and she was crying. The girls in the car panicked. You could hear it in their voices. The hesitation, the fear, the internal battle between wanting to help and knowing how dangerous that situation could be. They circled back once, then again, and each time the woman was worse. By the third pass, she had collapsed completely, lying motionless on the asphalt. I felt my chest tighten as I watched. This wasn't a prank. This wasn't staged. This was a human being in real danger. They did the right thing. They stayed in the car. They called emergency services. Police and paramedics arrived shortly after and took her away. The comments section filled in the rest. She had been found near a river. Her car was parked miles away. Witnesses said she'd been wandering the area earlier that night, knocking on doors, speaking strangely, then disappearing again. Days later, it came out that she had been missing from a completely different city. She didn't remember driving there, didn't remember entering the water, didn't remember anything at all. Doctors suggested a dissociative fugue state, a psychological break triggered by stress, fear, paranoia. A mind so overwhelmed that it simply detached. It was a rational explanation, and yet I couldn't stop thinking about the similarity. A person where no person should be. A road meant for speed, not for human bodies. A moment where stopping could mean death, but not stopping felt just as wrong. Once you notice a pattern, it's impossible to unsee it. I started searching. Night road encounters. Figures in the highway. People standing, crawling, lying in the road. There were more than I expected. A family driving home late at night. A man dressed as a clown stepping out from the shadows, blocking their path, waving them down. When they tried to reverse, he chased the car at full speed, laughing, refusing to move. This wasn't harmless fun. Not when similar clown attacks had been happening just days earlier. Not when people were being stabbed, chased, dragged from their vehicles. The driver floored it. The clown jumped aside at the last second. If he hadn't, someone would have died. Another video showed a woman lying flat across a rural road, completely still. A police officer stopped thinking it was a body dump. She stood up, moments later confused, drunk, concussed from a crash she barely remembered. One wrong timing, one distracted driver, and she would have been erased from existence. And then there were the older stories. Stories from before dashcams, before smartphones. A couple parked on a quiet road in the 1940s. A man emerging from the woods with a sack over his head, weapon in hand. He didn't want their money. He didn't want the car. He just wanted control. They survived. The next couple didn't. Different decades, different countries, different explanations, but always the same setting. The road, the night, and someone who shouldn't be there. I thought the nightmare had reached its peak until I found the footage from earlier this year. A truck driver on a remote highway. Two figures dragging something across the road. Human legs. Or maybe not. By the time he stopped and looked back, they were gone. No report, no follow-up, no answers. I shut my laptop and sat in the dark, the hum of my house suddenly feeling too quiet. I realized something then. The road isn't just a place we pass through at night. It becomes a threshold. And sometimes whatever crosses it doesn't care whether we're ready or not. I stopped watching videos about strange road encounters after that. At least I tried to. But once something like that burrows into your mind, it doesn't leave quietly. It waits. It resurfaces at night when the road ahead is empty and your headlights carve tunnels through the dark. A few months after the highway incident, I started noticing something strange. Every time I drove at night, especially on long stretches of isolated road, I felt watched. Not in a vague paranoid way, in a specific way, like something was waiting for the moment I'd look away from the road. Sometimes it came as movement at the edge of my vision. A flicker near the shoulder. A shape just beyond where the light faded. Each time I turned my head, there was nothing there. Just darkness. Just trees. Just silence. I told myself it was stress, sleep deprivation. The aftermath of a scare my brain couldn't let go of. Until the night my dash cam turned on by itself. I was parked outside a rest stop, engine off, scrolling through my phone. The dash cam should have been dormant. It only activated when the car moved or when I manually turned it on. But suddenly, the tiny red light blinked alive. Recording. I frowned and looked up. That's when I saw it. At the very edge of the headlight's reach, barely illuminated, stood a figure on the side of the road. Too still, too deliberate. It wasn't close enough to make out details, but I could tell one thing immediately. It was small, child-sized, wearing something long and dark. I felt the same sickness rise in my stomach as it had months earlier. I didn't honk, didn't open the door, didn't even breathe. I just sat there, frozen, staring through the windshield. The figure didn't wave, didn't step forward, didn't react to the light at all. It simply turned its head, and even from that distance, I knew it was looking directly at me. I slammed the car into drive and sped off. I didn't stop until I reached the city, my hands cramping around the steering wheel, heart pounding so hard it hurt. The next morning, I checked the footage. The dash cam recorded everything. Me sitting there, the headlights illuminating the road, the darkness beyond. But the figure gone. Not blurred, not obscured, just not there. The timestamp showed the camera activated at the exact moment I remembered seeing it, but the video showed nothing. No child, no movement, no shadow, only empty road. That was when I understood something that made my blood run cold. Whatever I had seen on the highway that first night, whatever others had seen crawling from rivers, standing in roads, blocking cars, chasing headlights. They weren't random, and they weren't accidents. These encounters only happened in liminal places. Highways, bridges, back roads, spaces between destinations. Places where people are vulnerable, tired, distracted, alone. And almost every story ended the same way. The witness survived, but nothing was ever found. No child, no woman, no attacker, no explanation. Just confusion, contradictions, and an overwhelming sense that something had slipped back into the dark before anyone could grab hold of it. I don't think these figures are trying to be hit, and I don't think they're asking for help. I think they're testing something. Reaction time, fear, choice, because every time someone swerves, brakes, or hesitates for just a second too long, someone else dies on a road just like that somewhere else. An accident, a drunk driver, a body found too late. Easy to explain away. I still drive for work. I still take highways at night. But I've made myself one promise. If I ever see someone standing in the middle of the road again, I won't stop. I won't look back. And I won't tell myself it was just my imagination, because some things don't want to be understood. They just want you to slow down. And on a dark, empty road, that's all it takes.